Are you thinking about starting or nourishing a career in menstrual cycle health? Then consider joining our 9-month online Holistic Hormone and Cycle Coaching certification training. In this training, you get science-backed and evidence-based education, as well as teachings about the somatic aspects of having a menstrual cycle, functional nutrition, hormone testing, and much, much more. We will have incredible live group sessions, and you will get guidance from me. There will also be amazing guest teaching lectures from experts in the field, and at the end you will receive an official certificate of completion that is globally recognized. As a listener of the Planting Seeds podcast, you receive an additional €100 off when you use the code PODCAST when you sign up. Click on the link in the show notes to learn more.
Hello friends, my name is Iris Josephina. I'm your host, and you are listening to the Planting Seeds podcast. On the Planting Seeds podcast, we explore how we can cultivate a more gentle relationship with our cyclical bodies, the earth, each other, and the world around us through using our senses, science, the subtle, and the sacred. On Planting Seeds, we talk about all those topics you've always wanted to talk about. We are shamelessly opening up the conversations that we all so desperately need to settle in our precious bodies and relate to each other in a more open, truthful, and empowered way. I'm so glad you're here today.
Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Planting Seeds podcast. Today is a little bit of a special one because we are having our first team podcast, which I'm really excited about. I'm here with my assistant, Suzanne. Welcome to the show, Suzanne.
Thank you so much, Iris. It's so nice to be here. Usually I'm in the background creating your little snippets for Instagram. It's fun to be on here with you.
So we are going to talk about our upcoming Holistic Hormone and Cycle Coaching certification training today, because I think it's a good way for people to get a more intimate understanding about this training, why it is important, why we are creating it, and why people should join. But before we do that, I would love for you to just introduce yourself, share a bit with the audience who you are and what your connection is to Cycle Seeds, so we can build a bit of a relationship here.
Yeah, absolutely. So hello, everyone. I am Suzanne, and Iris and I were actually just having a meeting a bit earlier this morning, trying to figure out when we first met. And it was actually 3 years ago, which we were super surprised at. It's felt like it's gone so quickly. But yeah, I've basically been working with Iris for 3 years, helping her on her different courses and trainings, and just in the background, supporting Cycle Seeds and Iris in any way that I can. And I am based in Cape Town, South Africa, so very different part of the world to Iris. And I'm also very interested in menstrual health and cyclical health. So it's been such an honor, really, working with Iris and learning from her. And I am as passionate as she is about this training. So I'm very excited to start talking about it and hearing more about it, and for you guys to hear more about it. And so probably a good place to start, Iris, is what is this training? I know there are other menstrual health trainings out there, but yours is quite unique, and I'd love you to tell us all a little bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So my training, the Holistic Hormone and Cycle Coaching certification training, is really the online education that you need to start or nourish your career in cyclical health. It's a 9-month globally certified training where you will learn everything you need to know to successfully help people improve the experience of their menstrual cycles and support their bodies to come to an optimal state of being so that the body can come to a place of holism and wholeness where people can actually experience their menstrual cycles in the way that they are meant to experience them. So we'll be looking into the basics and foundations of anatomy and physiology. But we will also very specifically look into like, okay, what are the most common complaints and how can you actually support somebody through lifestyle changes, through nutrition, through supporting the nervous system and the more somatic parts of being in a body. And this training is really aimed for people to have all the foundations they need to support their clients to optimal health.
This sounds so amazing, Iris, and that's what really excited me when I first started hearing you talk about this training, is how in-depth it is and all-encompassing and holistic. It's not just, okay, we're going to talk about your period, or we're going to talk about you helping someone with their period. It is so much more than that. And from my understanding, you've spent many, many years doing multiple trainings and multiple courses to actually be able to get to the place you are today where you can offer something like this.
Yeah, that's true. And to be quite honest, I never actually thought about creating a training like this. It was really an invitation from my audience, from the people who work with me, from the people who learned from me to, really create this training, because people are like, oh, we really want to do what you're doing. And I would send them like to trainings that I did, but people were like, no, we really want to learn from you because you offer such a unique perspective. And I think it may be interesting for people to know where I come from. So my background is in medical anthropology, gender studies and women's studies, as well as birth work. So I used to be a doula for a long time, and being present as a doula at births and educating people about pregnancy, birth, and postpartum is what actually really sparked my interest to start learning about the menstrual cycle, because I figured that a lot of people, even when they're like highly educated, they actually don't know what happens in their bodies. And I believe that the power of understanding the body really lays in learning about it and being curious about it. And in all the trainings that I've done, this was the emphasis, regardless of the cyclical phase that people were in, whether it's their fertile years or pregnancy or postpartum or going towards menopause. It's really about gaining this body literacy. So becoming literate in the understanding of your body, that makes all the difference. And this training just was born out of what I have shared with the world. It was just like the world answering to me, like, wow, you do such incredible things. Can you teach us how to do that as well? So that's how this training was actually born.
Wow, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing that with us, Iris. It's really beautiful. And so obviously you've seen a need for this in the world. And I'd love to hear from you why you feel this training is so important in the world, how it is today.
Yeah, so what I've been seeing, I've been in the birth field. I started this work 10 years ago. So there has been a decade that's passed where I have come to see like how things have changed. And what I'm seeing is a trend or a movement where people are more curious and want to be more autonomous when it comes to their bodies, regardless of which phase they're in, whether they want to get pregnant, whether they are pregnant, whether they are, moving towards menopause. I'm seeing this trend where people are more curious and they want to know the why behind something. So if they go to a doctor, if they go and seek care, they want to know why they have to do something. And this is something that when I was younger, when I was in high school, this trend did not really exist. People just, went into the medical system. They took whatever was offered to them. And a great example for that is the hormonal birth control pill. And what I'm seeing now is that people really have this desire to self-govern their health and this desire to understand instead of blindly submit to specific types of care. And there is this movement that actually offers like this in-between. So when you are a holistic hormonal health coach, you don't leave people and let them figure it out all on their own, but you're also not letting them like go into a system that cannot provide them with everything they need. As a hormonal health coach, you're really the bridge between the patient or the client and the bigger medical system that is out there. And I really see this field and this profession as filling a gap that's been there for very long. And I really feel that there is a need. There is more holistic hormonal health coaches out there. My practice is full. I'm like constantly fully booked. My colleagues are fully booked. And there is a high demand, a high need for people to be supported by people who offer them the middle way, who on the one hand understand the medical system and understand what you can get there as a cyclical being, and on the other hand, guide people to self-govern their health and make choices that really work for them, teach them about informed consent so that the choices that people make are actually in alignment with what they need in that moment.
It really excites me to know that people are at least actually asking why and asking those questions and not just sort of sitting back and let someone else prescribe and sort of lead how they need to look after themselves in their lives. So that's really amazing to know that that trend is happening throughout the world. And I assume you're also seeing this reflected in your practice through your clients.
Yeah, definitely I do. And what I'm seeing the most is, I'm often the last resort. So people come to me and they say, I've tried everything. I went to like 5 doctors. I went to my gynae, but they're not offering me the help that I need. And what most people tell me is, I believe that I can support my body through lifestyle and nutrition, but it's not what I'm learning. It's not what I'm getting in the medical system. And that's true because people who operate and work in a medical system are often not trained for that. But now there is this trend with people desiring taking agency over their own health and well-being. But how the world functions today, it's not really offering that. So my space, my practice, and practices of my colleagues, we are offering this space that is in high demand currently. And a specific trend I'm seeing with this is, for example, people who want to experience their natural cycles. It's a very logical trend these days that people get off of hormonal birth control, just to give you one example. Most people want to experience their natural cycles, but there is not really a support for that because the system that we are in is actually set up for us to quick fix, to use pills with our problems or IUDs or patches or implants or whatever we are prescribed. But the system and how it functions doesn't really answer the current trend of needs of people. And the current trend of needs of people is that people are remembering, I don't believe it's a new thing, people are remembering that there is various things out there like nutrition, like targeted supplementation, like targeted tests that we can do, like lifestyle habits that we can change that can actually support them. And so this is something that I'm seeing in my practice. There is this hunger in people to actually learn and to understand their bodies and to connect all the dots.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and to connect all the dots so that they're like, oh, okay, this is why my body is doing what it's doing. And these are the steps that I can take to support my body to come back to optimal functioning. And that's what we're doing with this training as well. This is what I'm offering in my work. And this is also what we are offering in this training.
When you talk about it, nutrition and, sort of syncing in with your natural cycle, it just sounds so obvious and so right to me. And I love that. That's also the trend. While there's this major trend for AI and tech and moving away from face-to-face connection, there are spaces still where we can come back to our bodies and our natural rhythms and cycles. So that's very exciting to me. And I think your clients obviously really love working with you because I know even some of them have joined this training to become practitioners themselves because they've seen how beneficial it really is. And I just wanted to know, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, who is this training actually for and can they join this training? What do you have to do, know, or be to become a part of your HHCC training?
Thank you for asking that. And I really want to say to that anybody who feels called to do this training can do this training. And this kind of like differentiates, I think, my training from other trainings out there because in a lot of trainings, there is like this very strong mentioning of, oh, you need this prior knowledge, or you need to be this or that, or this type of practitioner to deepen your knowledge on the menstrual cycle. And I really want to say, like, anyone who feels the call to do this training is welcome, because I've really tried to make this training as foundational as possible so that you'll be able to understand. And yes, of course, some things will be a little bit complex in the beginning, but the beautiful thing is that you have access to this training forever. As long as you live, you have access to this training. And so if things are a little bit harder to understand at the beginning, you can always revisit. And that's what you do in this field. You always revisit the knowledge and the wisdom to understand it at a deeper level. And I really also want to say that this is also how I believe, like, ancient healers and people who were important in the field of wellness in the community, they also felt a calling for service. So, and that's also how I do my work. Like, I never planned to become a holistic hormone and cycle coach. It was a calling. I feel a need to be in service of the world, and this is my way. And I believe that everybody who feels a similar need, a similar calling, a similar intuition, I believe that when this is for you, you'll know it. You'll answer this call. And I also want to add to that there is this trend that you're only someone when you have the certificate, when you have the qualification, and then you can be trusted. But I believe it's more than that. It's more than just desiring to have like this paper, this certificate at the end of the ride. And this is what I see out there in trainings as well. This patriarchal idea that you are only someone when you have managed to get the paper at the end. And, I'll be honest with you, the only reason I made this training a certification training is because I know my students will be more valued by mainstream society if they have a paper that says they're qualified to do this. But it's not what I personally only believe in. I believe that if somebody is called to do this work, they are able to do it. And they will be able to put in the time, the commitment, the love, the passion to do this work. And I trust people will do that if they are meant to do this work. So this is also a little bit different, I think, in other trainings, because I trust people. If this training is for you, I trust you that you will make the right decision.
I love that it has both sides to it, that it is about the calling and the passion, but when you come out of it, you're also a globally certified practitioner, which is just so amazing. It really is the best of both worlds.
I feel this training can also be what we call anthro-ontological, where you really understand some profound things of your body and have like an embodied understanding. And this is really what I want my students and future practitioners to experience. Like, you will learn about your own body, and because you embody it in your own body, you're able to transmit it to your future clients. And this also kind of like weaves in with my anthropological background, this like anthro-ontological experience I want my students to have is very important to me.
So I think that's really, really exciting. And I'm sure people want to hear a little bit more about the practicalities of this training. Like, what is the time commitment of being a part of the training? How many hours is it a week?
So practically, we'll be spending quite some time together. We have a 90-minute welcome call. You will receive 20 pre-recorded online study modules that you can go through at your own pace. And then afterwards, every month, we will come together and have live group discussion sessions about the content. You can ask me all your questions. We will have live group somatic sessions to like really learn about the somatic aspects about your menstrual cycle, but also to experience it yourself. These classes will be very experiential. I will have you experience the somatics in your own body so that I'm sure that you can transmit that to your own future clients. And then we will also have live guest classes from experts in the field. Some of these people are like my dear friends. Some of these people are actual doctors that I really trust and work with. And then we will also have 9 live cyclical CEO business sessions, because obviously you're going to make your career out of this. So it's important that I also teach you how to set up a successful practice. At the end, we have a graduation call, obviously. And in between, you'll have tests to check your knowledge. And at the end, you will have an exam and client case studies. And you can redo both one time, free of charge. Like I said earlier, you'll have lifetime access to all content. And at the end, you will receive a certificate of completion that is endorsed by the International Board of Holistic Medicine Practitioners. And time-wise, you should be looking at 30 to 90 minutes for each training lesson that we have in each pre-recorded module. And each module will ask on average 2 to 5 hours of your time. And like I said, these modules will be released month to month so that you're not overwhelmed with loads of content all at once. So we will have 9 months, 20 training modules, and you will receive 2 to 3 modules per month. And then the live classes will be on average an hour and a half. So we're looking at, and the guest classes are 60 minutes. So depending on your learning pace and your study pace, I would say block out 4 to 6 hours per week. But then obviously, if you're really motivated, you can also go through all the articles and the books and the other materials I will be sharing with you as extra resources. But I'm not expecting you to know all this stuff, like for your exam, for example. So very practically and briefly, I would cut out 4 to 6 hours per week for this training for the course of 9 months.
And if this time commitment is a little bit much for some people, is there an option of a bit of a less intense course?
Yeah, I actually haven't shared about this online yet, but we will have the option for self-study. So we will have the option to go through the entirety of the 20 study modules on your own, and then also join the live discussion groups. So the self-study option will consist only of the 20 pre-recorded modules and then 9 live discussion groups. So you do have a space where you can come and ask all your questions. So if there are people who can't make the full commitment to the course and all the live classes, no worries. We will be offering a self-study option, and all content of the live discussion groups can also be watched later because they will be saved and they will also be yours to keep forever.
Amazing. So exciting. And if people are already, after listening to this, feeling a big yes, how can they join the training, either the full option or just the self-study option?
So I recommend to go to our website, which I have shared in the show notes. And from there, just go over everything that we have written there. And when you hit the button, sign up or apply, you can save your spot by making your payment and then filling out as well our application form. And then you're all set to go.
Amazing. So exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. And it's been such a beautiful process to, crystallize out what I want to teach in this training and how I want to build it up and all the beautiful things I want to share. And I do want to say that it'll be a large part of the training will obviously be evidence-based and science-backed. But you know me, Suzanne, I don't want to leave out the space for the sacredness, the subtleness, the somatic. So I made sure that all of that is also incorporated in the training. And I find it very important that as practitioners, we are aware of the incredible science and the evidence-based knowledge, but please don't leave out the magic. Life can go in such beautiful ways. And I have so many anecdotal stories of clients where, their menstrual cycle healing was definitely supported by all the science-backed stuff that I shared with them. But a lot of breakthroughs also happened in our somatic sessions. So yeah, I really wanted to mention that as well.
Yeah, I really think that is part of what makes this training so special and unique, is there is so many beautiful polarities and two sides to each part of this training that just come together in the most beautiful way and give people a really holistic experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe we should mention as well that you have also decided to sign up for the training. Can you maybe share your thought process and your motivation to join the training?
Yeah, I intuitively, as soon as you started talking about the training, I just knew everything was yes, yes, yes. Obviously, my brain started looking at, okay, but what about this? You don't have prior education in that space. You're a marketer. You're like, you know how your brain starts to go into all the stories, but in my body, it was just absolutely yes. And so I started looking into how I could make it work, time-wise, financially, started talking to you about it. And I'm just really excited to be a part of it. I've always, as I said at the beginning of this podcast, always been very drawn to cyclical living. And a few years ago, I started my own business in cyclical education and health and creating menstrual health boxes just to make, that time of your cycle a little bit more enjoyable. So to actually be able to get more education on the topic and feel really empowered to support my community and those around me, I almost just don't even have words. I'm really, really excited.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm so happy that you are joining and that you'll be able to share this wisdom and knowledge with people in your community in South Africa. That's something so beautiful that I had never actually thought about. By creating this training online, people literally all over the world have access to this wisdom and can share it in their own way, according to their own terms, in their own communities, in their own language. And it just makes me feel so blessed and so happy that this is happening. And yeah, I'm just so grateful.
I know, I can't believe we're going to be in our video calls with so many people from so many different parts of the world. And this knowledge is going to actually be shared within their communities as well. It's really quite mind-blowing, actually.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to start. And I really want to thank you for coming on today and, talk and share about the training that we've been working on so hard for the last half a year. And yeah, I just can't wait to start.
Me too. Yay.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with people who are on the verge of deciding whether they want to join this training or not?
I think it's just really important to go into your body. Like I was saying earlier, it's what I had to do. Your mind is always going over, oh, I'm not in that industry, or I don't know enough about that. But your body really, really knows. So if you are feeling drawn to this training, but you have things that you aren't sure about, firstly, obviously reach out to us. We're here to answer any questions, but also just sit quietly and go into your body, and you will be able to feel if this is right for you.
I love that. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. And everybody who's listening, thank you so much for listening. If you're thinking now ooh, I really want to learn more, check out the show notes and see whether you want to sign up for this training. For our podcast listeners, we have a special discount as well. You can also find that in the show notes. And we hope to see you in the training that starts in September. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, with your friends, with your family, post about it on social media, or leave a rating or a review on all the platforms. To catch all the latest news from me, you can follow at the Planting Seeds podcast on Instagram or at Cycle Seeds on Instagram, or you can go to my website www.cycleseeds.com. Thank you again so much, and I'll see you next time.